All right, what's up, everybody? I'm Joe, the Kentucky Atheist. I'm joined today with Mandisa Thomas from Black Dawn Believers. Hi, everybody in the chat that's already here. We'll talk around for a few minutes before we get going too far into things and let some people kind of join and stuff. And what's up, Mandisa? Thanks for coming.
Hey, Joe. It is nice to see you again, even if it's virtually. Yeah, I'm glad to be here with you.
Yeah, yeah. So we did see each other at the art protest, and we're going to talk some about that today, and some other stuff too. Uh, the I was really interested to to talk to you about this because you have past experience of other art protests, so you've been to it a number of times and kind of know how things go and stuff, and so interested to hear about that. The Next year, instead of instead of me doing it all and being able to ask like tri-state non-believers or tri-state freethinkers for just for assistance, uh, Jim and Chrissy are going to take a more active role for the 10th anniversary one and stuff, and so I mean I look for that to be a good thing, definitely. Uh, Enjoyed working with them a lot. They were quite awesome. But how have you been doing since then?
Well, things are always busy. As a matter of fact, the day that I left, the day after the Ark Encounter protest, and shout out to Kelly who's in the chat. Shout out to everyone who is watching right now. It's good to see, some familiar faces and names, some who I've met for the first time in person at the Ark Encounter protest. That was fantastic. Shout out to Seth and Robin and everyone else who's there and who's here. Um, Things have just been on my end, just very busy. It's been a very busy year, and it's definitely summer for being. And My husband, who, if you, in case you haven't seen me on social media, my husband is well, soon to be was a federal employee. He was doged, unfortunately. He was a federal employee for over 30 years, and was his entire division was abolished by the current administration, and it has been impacting his health. He deals with sickle cell anemia. He's been a lifelong, he's had that condition all his life, and unfortunately he's had some health issues this year, and I had to actually rush home because he was in the middle of he was catching a pain episode. So I had to like hightail it back to Georgia, like the first thing in the morning. And so it's just been one of those, the like seasons. Like past few months have just been absolutely hectic. They've been very challenging, um, on in the home front because of that, and just preparing for this transition, and that is impacting a lot. Is impacting thousands of people, whether they receive federal services or whether they were federal employees who've now lost their jobs. And so we are a household that's been impacted by that. And of course, now we know that the administration has established some faith task force. There have been some derogatory comments and derogatory statements made about atheists and non-believers, and some executive orders that have targeted specific nonprofits that they think campaign against the Trump administration. Which, of course, all of that is illegal, right? You're not supposed to be able to, you're not supposed to target nonprofits like that. But the Republicans already want to gut the Johnson Amendment that erodes the lines between separation of religion and government. So all of this is very, very, it's crucial to our work, It's crucial to what we do, and both on a personal level, and also the work that we do, especially as whether we're content creators, movement, organizational leaders, and some are all or more than one. So, we are in some very, very challenging times right now, and so as busy as it has been, it has just also been exhausting, to say the least.
Uh,
So, yeah, it's a lot going on.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I I spend a lot of time talking about a number of those topics, and some may say too much time, uh, but yeah, and definitely just not my previous guest, but the one before that was GE, and he of
Hmm.
course has been furloughed as well by the federal government, and
Yeah, because of the shutdown.
yeah, yeah,
The
so.
shutdown now. It's like,
And I seen
jeez.
something today that said Trump just laid off 4,000 more federal
Uh
workers.
huh. Yep.
So
He just ripped 4,000 more people.
yeah,
It's just. I mean, it's not even insane. It's just absolutely. It's terrible
yeah,
what they're doing. It is inhumane what they're doing right now. I mean, it is just like to take that opportunity to just punish more people,
yeah,
and for what, so they can line their pockets.
yeah. The it would be bad enough if we just had a government shutdown and that was all that was happening, But the trampling of the Constitution and people's rights and a number of the not that we haven't had. Uh, the systemic racism throughout our laws, but now
It's
they're
even
being
worse.
a
It's
lot
more
more.
pronounced.
Yeah,
It's definitely more pronounced now because there's a significant portion of people of color who work for the federal government, and
yeah,
they're among the first ones to lose their jobs. We're also seeing what's happening with, it's act, we're seeing, what they're doing with, Health and Human Services, and how they are looking to get rid of research, medical research that's going to help a lot of disadvantaged people, and they're claiming to, they're claiming to help folks, but it's like, no, no, they're not.
yeah,
And yeah, it's just absolutely, it is just absolutely ridiculous to see what is happening and what is going to happen to a lot of people, or just across all sorts of lines here. It is, but the last thing and the worst thing we can do is just give up.
right. That's what they want. They want you to be scared to go out because they're going to send troops in. They want you to be quiet because you're afraid of what they may do. And um, you can be afraid of what they may do, but it doesn't mean you have to be quiet, right?
Absolutely,
uh,
absolutely. You,
yeah.
you cannot allow yourself to. I mean, you may be scared, but let that fear work for you. Try. It's time to face them.
I mean, that's how terror
And
works.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It wants to bully you into silence, and that just cannot happen. I remember the shutdown from the first Trump administration, and also from when Obama was president, when the Republicans were given a hard time there. And I was actually a contractor for the federal government at the time, and we were out of work for just about 2 weeks. And I was just leaving the job that I had to take on being full time during the Trump administration shutdown, the first one. But now it's just, the photo workers who are already like in retirement, they're put in a furlough status. And so everything, what people don't realize how much it actually costs to be in a shutdown.
Oh, right.
Um, and also how many people and how many services are impacted. This is just, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, I for one, and I imagine you probably will echo this sentiment just because of what it is you do. But you know, they may do a number of things that cause some of these things to have to change form in the way that we talk to people and reach people and whatever. We may have to take some different routes to do those things, but we'll be here somewhere.
Oh
that
yeah,
there
absolutely.
I don't plan on shutting up anytime soon as they want. So,
Not at all. And we have to remember that it's just the federal government. There's also the county, city, and local and state governments that we also have to stay on top of as well. These are and it has how we how we interact on the local and state levels determines what happens on the federal level. So we have to as much as possible stay on top of all of that, and that takes us into what's happening. Even with the Ark Encounter and why it is protested, because there were state funds that went towards building that crap. And that is one of the reasons why they started protesting, the tri-state free thinkers and the local folks in the area. And because these folks will use subsidies as much as possible. They always talk about the welfare queens and welfare kings, and normally that is aimed towards people of color or what it would be considered poor white trash, right?
yeah,
But it's often those who have means and who have resources that want to suck up the what is supposed to help the folks who need it.
yeah.
So those are the ones you really got to be careful of
Well,
at the
yeah,
end of the day.
yeah. The it's we say every admission is a every admission is a confession. The and it's a lot of projection going on. They say, oh well, these people, and it's always a demonizing of some minimalized or marginalized group of people, some minority group that in many cases, in most cases, doesn't necessarily have the resources to fight back. So they can create the boogeyman however they want. They can define it the way they want, and get their base riled up, and everybody's scared of something that just doesn't match reality. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that things like uh, groups that practice skepticism and things like that, I think in a lot of ways we're kind of prepared for those dog whistles and that kind of stuff. We see them a little more clearly because we've dealt with those things in these other areas for so long.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and a lot of people, I mean, I think the Trump administration preys on ignorance. I think ignorance and intolerance is kind of their bread and butter.
I think it's definitely more of intolerance and what people have, what their folks have against others. Because when you hear him speak, I mean, he just always looks like, and you can tell he's lying through his teeth. I mean, first of all, he contradicts himself. I mean, just almost every other word. And you can fact check him. I just remember the debate between him and Kamala Harris, and in real time, he was being fact checked and he was lying. I mean, you can tell that. I mean, he was very incoherent,
Yeah,
but it's due to. I mean, it really is due to what people's misogyny,
yeah,
people's racism, that he is in office. Because I'm like, what is the appeal to this guy? And I just remember growing up, he's from around the same neighborhood where I am, in New York. He's from Jamaica Estates. That's pretty well off, but almost like a stone's throw. It's a hood, right?
yeah,
So it's like, he's not. He's from an area where I'm not too far from, and he's he's a good generation older than me. So at the time, there were definitely not as many people of color living in that neighborhood. But It's just it's just really, really, it's really disheartening to see how many people actually either they know he's lying, but they either don't care, they're scared, or they just they really believe it. And I'm just like, wow, how could you? I mean, he's an obvious liar. And I remember at the time growing up, of course, Trump and his family were like the ideal, lifestyle of the rich and famous. People wanted to be like him. A lot of rappers quoted him or they mentioned him in their lyrics. Of
Yeah.
course, that didn't age well. So because we really didn't know how shady he was, back then. And I just think
Yeah.
that it's so it's just like, wow, the fact that he, folks look to him at him as the ideal of what it means to be wealthy, and the actual like goals, right? And now when you listen to him and you look at him, you're just like, oh my gosh, what were people thinking?
Yeah.
um and
What,
especially to be running, in the government, in the public sector. But
right. Yeah. It wasn't until he ran for president that, um, I found out that, oh, he wasn't this successful businessman. He was actually
mm,
quite a bit of failure of a businessman, and then through some stuff we did in the lead up to the election, finding out about all the different racist things that have goes back to the mid '80s with him, and I'm sure before,
oh
uh,
yeah.
and just I wasn't aware of a lot of those things. You see the Apprentice, which is what he was the face of and really known for, but it's not that I took that necessarily seriously, but I figured, oh, hey, well, he's on the show because he's some kind of businessman and whatever, and know a little bit about his name being on everything and all that crap, and but once you start finding out the details, and then once you hear him speak a little bit, and catch him in contradictions and lies, and some of the stuff he does, it's like, oh yeah, yeah, that's not good. We've got a big problem here, and a number of people are lapping it up for whatever reason, and I think we both understand a number of those reasons: misogyny, and racism, and xenophobia, and
Hmm.
hate towards other people
It's a
is
big one. It's
yeah.
definitely a big one there. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. For
So,
sure.
real quick before we get too far, and so people understand what's going on, let's talk a little bit about why I've got a QR code and header here on the screen. Mandisa's Candy Corn Challenge. I'll let you tell everybody what this is about.
Boy, yep, got the bag right here. So, yeah. So at BN, we have quite a few things coming up, and we need to raise some money. And of course, we're 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization, and so for those of you who aren't that familiar with me, even if you see recent posts, right? Every Halloween, I share my severe dislike for candy corn. I have never liked it as a candy. I've always thought it was just absolutely horrible. But I share that every year. How much I just think candy corn is just such a terrible candy. But there are others on my list who absolutely love it, and they taunt me with it. We taunt each other back and forth. So it's always this fun thing that we all do. But I just figured for this month of October, which of course Halloween is coming up. I figured, I came up with the idea that if we raise $15,000, which is needed for the organization, that I would eat candy corn, and I will eat up to an entire bag if we reach our goal for the month of October. And I know that for a lot of people, 15,000 is a lot of money, and it is a lot to ask for. But in the grand scheme of nonprofit organizations, it actually isn't, because if, like, let's say for example, we have close to 4,000 subscribers now. If every subscriber gave like $5, that would put us over our goal. So, we're hoping that, and then of course we've had a few folks now donate, a few donate more. The I guess the minimum that we've raised of that has been donated has been $20, right? So, a lot of people giving a small amount would put us at our goal, and I have decided to take the plunge that if because it's well known people who follow us, people who know me know that I rag on candy corn a lot. However, if we reach this goal, and I'm saying it here and I've been saying it, I've already bought the bag of candy corn. I will eat this bag of candy corn live, whether it's through one live stream, whether it's through a number of live streams. Y'all will get to see me eat this candy corn if we raise $15,000. And I just want to remind people that the work that BN does includes supporting events like the Ark Encounter protest. We co-sponsor the Hurston Student Scholarship with the Secular Student Alliance. We support a lot of our fellow community organizations events. It supports our outreach to our members and to the broader general public. It helps us, with our community engagement, and that takes support that helps us with our own live stream show. So it really, really does. So while this is fun, and I really want this to be fun, and I'm willing to have fun at my expense, right? Because again, I have not eaten candy corn since I was a child. You know how there are some people who, they'll say something publicly, but then privately they'll do something else. I have not eaten candy corn in over 40 years, and I just turned 49. I am willing to eat a bag of candy corn, and Kelly says she'll also eat a bag of candy corn for the fundraiser, because some of us, those of us who are on the side that don't like candy corn at all, it's just it's terrible. It's such a terrible candy. But for the sake of fundraising, I will give the candy corn, the people who love candy corn the satisfaction of watching me eat it if we reach this goal. And we need your help. Like I said, a lot of people donating just a few dollars will help us reach our goal. And we use GoFundMe as a platform because it's the best way to track it, and it does get us the money quicker, right? So that's a fun way, and it's good for nonprofits as well.
Yeah.
But yes, that is the challenge that we have for October. It's my scary candy corn challenge, because again, I have not eaten candy. Every time I see it, I'm just like, ugh. But if we reach this goal, and definitely we love to exceed it, right? I will, for the viewing pleasure and also torment, eat this bag of candy corn, because the work of BN is so important. It is what I love, and it is through all of the work that we've been doing with you, and through and through the entire community, is what makes this very important. So I thought, you know what? I absolutely will eat the bag of candy corn, if we reach our very, it's an aggressive goal, but guess what? I think we can do it. And I think there would be some people who have followed me over the years who know very much how much I don't like candy corn at all. I will eat the candy corn
Yeah.
for donations, for y'all to support BN.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like candy corn either, but the running through chat there, I've got a link to the GoFundMe, and also links to Black Nonbelievers Inc. YouTube channel and blacknonbelievers.org. So yeah, and the QR code down there will also take you to the GoFundMe. So a number of ways to get there. Go help out, and I guess cheer Mandisa on, and hope she gets to eat a bag of candy corn. Yeah.
Yay! So, next, it'll be me eating Chicago pizza And I see Mikey Famine in the chat. I see Mikey over there. But, I love one of the things that I love about being a part of our community is that I love for people to just see the person that I am, because I think that's very, very important. I think I don't think we are anything without our ability to relate to people, also in how we connect on the things that we love, and also the things that, not just the things that we don't like or that we're fighting against, right? But also what we love, and also how we are able to communicate and laugh, especially when times are hard. And it's become like a ritual now. Like, even on my birthday, right? A couple of people who I know love candy corn and know that I hate it. They posted pictures of like candy corn birthday candy, and I'm like, you know what, y'all suck. But it's just hilarious. And so that is the thing that people know about me. Like, if you know me, you know I hate candy corn. But yes, I decided to turn a thing that I don't like into something that, I think would be great for for fundraising for BN. And so this is, I really, really do. We have fun with it every year, and even sometimes, like, even throughout the year, because I know there are a lot of people who will just eat candy corn at any given time of the year. I'm like, oh gosh, you and but it's fun. I like for people to know the things that I do love and some of the things that I don't, and what I'm willing to do in order to, again, to help out. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, I think that's a great promotion and a way to have fun with it. And I think it's a great idea. And I hope you get there. I'll come see you at the candy corn.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll come eat some with you. I don't know, but
Yeah. I might need to. I definitely might need to have some folks join in alive, and we'll eat it together so that I'm not by myself.
just have people eating handfuls of candy corn on stream.
Yeah.
Uh, the I mean, it's fun and it's something that grabs people's attention and it's for a great thing and all that. So yeah, I think it's a great plan, and I really do. I really do. I can't wait to see you get there because I think you'll do it.
Yeah. It's very well known that I don't like candy corn. I
Yeah,
think there are a lot of people in the community who know that I can't stand it, but I will be willing to ingest the candy corn for my organization. So
yeah. The so yeah, and we'll talk about that again some more. Bring it back up as people come in and out, and we'll run through it all again.
yes, yes.
So everybody knows what's going on, and we can get some people over there donating. Hopefully, the uh, what I had said earlier. This was my first year having anything to do with the art protests and stuff like that, and Jim and Christy and Tri-State Freethinkers, for that matter, were a little bit burnt out on it, and attendance had kind of dropped, and so I still wanted to do it, and that's actually Jim had said that's what we hoped would happen would be that when we kind of stopped, there would be other people that wanted to come do this, and
Yeah.
we so all of that was really awesome. But you've been to almost all of them, if not all of them, haven't you?
I haven't been to all of them, but I remember when I first met Jim in 2013. He was a volunteer with American Atheists. And then he eventually became their national field director. And that's when I learned that they had started doing an Ark Encounter protest. They started doing it in 2015. And it was a very good reason for them doing it. because of what's going on up there, and how they were, how that thing came to be. And so I do understand, like, doing something, consistently for a number of years. And, it's a lot of work getting the speakers together. It's a lot of work getting, volunteers together. The first time I was there and participated was in 2018. We had established we had affiliates in Louisville, Kentucky, as well as Cincinnati, Ohio. And so it was through those particular affiliates and being affiliated with other groups that, um, that Jim and the folks out there had asked us to come table, and then I ended up being asked to speak at the one in 2018. And so from there, I don't remember what happened in 2019, but I was at the virtual one in 2020, and also in 2021. So that's one of the reasons why I think it's important for folks. I always let our members know, look, we do a lot at Black Nonbelievers, but we do a lot of collaborative work with other groups, whether they're local or national, because there is a lot going on that other groups do that needs to be supported. And if you weren't already familiar, if they weren't already familiar with what other groups do, then it's important for folks to, to have a good idea, and to actually see it up close, to see it happen. And so I know there had also been some tensions between with some of the folks in the area, with some of the groups. There were some leaders that kind of fell out over the past couple of years, and I think that caused a bit of a strain as well. I am glad that, that you've picked up and decided to, run with it and put it together at a time when I know Jim and Chrissy were probably just like overwhelmed. Because, when you're doing things for a number of years, it does become very overwhelming. So, and it's good and I'm glad that they helped, because we did the hangouts at their house. They came and brought, the materials. I know Chrissy was there. And so, it was great. So it wasn't that they were completely out of it, but you took the lead on it, which was great. So I really think that, especially for it being a 10th anniversary next year, I'm definitely going to make sure that BN has a very, very strong presence there. That we will be there right alongside y'all. It was so good to see the folks coming from the surrounding areas as well.
Yep.
Folks came up from Nashville. Folks came from, different areas, to attend the protest. And I think that we would love for it to be, as robust as it was when it first started.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely want to, help with it, because I know with the local folks sometimes they're like, oh my gosh, we're doing this again. But I think that perhaps seeing, how you took the mantle on it, how you took the reins on it this year, and the folks who came out, gives inspiration and encouragement for the folks in the area, to come down and support it again. And
Yeah.
it's a very very important event, and it's important for people to understand, why it needs to be protested, and the harm that those exhibits and those facilities actually cause. So, and the fact that there are more of them like popping up, right? Of course, we're talking about Ken Hovind, who was supposed to be there, and he didn't show up. He and his crew didn't show up. And then, having gone down to his Dino Land compound, and just seeing how that ran was just, oh my gosh. The fact that they are also getting, some sort of subsidies from like the local governments is just horrendous. So it's important that we continue to keep this up, and that we continue to work together to help keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah. The Arc Encounter protest itself, and where it's went on for a number of years, is kind of unique to a lot of the events that go on throughout the year. Now, I know this year, of course, there's been a number of protests for different topics, but the it's one of the atheist events, one of the secular events that is that I hated to see go, and so Kentucky did subsidize much of the building and the land and the a number of things to do with that. But then the state also paid to completely change the interstate exits and the highways and stuff around there to accommodate the number of people that they were claiming was going to come through there, which never materialized. Not that they're losing money, but they overestimated by a good amount of the foot traffic that was going to be coming through, and they had made all these. Yeah, we'll get all these people come through, and we're just the arc here, so they'll come into town to eat and come into town for these things, and then they started building all those things on their property, and it's the area around there. A lot of the locals don't care much for
Mm-hmm.
Arc Encounter and AIG, and it has done real damage to the area. So, um, not even a matter of like just the separation of church and state issues that are there that are definitely present, but um, you can see evidence of a area that it has done harm to in a number of different ways. So
Yes.
I was more than happy to be part of it, and believe me, it was a lot of other people making me look like I was doing great things. The uh, the blueprint was already laid out for this thing, which was made it incredibly easier on me. There's a thing that they've already been doing, and they already know what they need and where they need it, and and then with Jim helping out and um, the local support and stuff, it was we were able to put something together, and I was happy with it. I think, and talking about this subject, I've said that the art protest was great, and it was awesome to see that, and it was a really important thing to do. Um, but a lot of the networking and getting to talk with people and meet with each other and have that community stuff go on was was probably more important than the actual few hours of the protest itself.
Right. I always love the satellite events, like the again the hangout sessions that take place, folks being able to connect and get together before and even after, we go down there for those few hours during that time, and then and do our thing, and then come back. Yes, that piece is absolutely important. It's not a conference per se, but it feels like one, right? It is a community event. It is a community building event, and I challenge people all the time, because I shout out to, yeah, shout out to Payne Burn, shout out to everyone who did support, and again, also shout out to Kelly, who ended up Kelly King, our cohort from Detroit, who was just coming there, as a part of representing BN, and then ended up, just meeting the other Kellys, the Godless Granny and Kelly Laughlin, and also just connecting with so many other folks. That is the power of what these events do. Um, that is, the I wouldn't want to say magic, but it kind of feels like magic, right? It's the people magic. It's what we put into it. And meeting Jay Bundy, Dr. Jay Bundy, for the first time. We connected. We connected on the interwebs through Maya Atkinson, and being able to meet him for the first time was just fantastic. And I know that there are a lot of folks in our community who suffer from social anxiety, They deal with, the nervousness of being around people, but it is absolutely important that you work through that to come out and meet the people that you have connected with online, because in person engagement is very, very important. And that's one of the reasons why we focus on that community building at Black Nonbelievers, right? Because there are so many people who still feel like they're alone. Once you deconstruct and let go of that belief, it becomes very, very, it's still very isolating because you still don't know who else is out there, and you need to find those connections. And that is very important, because that is what helps people feel whole and liberated, and they're able to find where their respective areas of activism and their passion lies.
Yeah.
Once you're able to come to terms with that. But I emphatically encourage people to get out and meet the people that they know online, whether it is through a casual meetup, whether it's dinner, lunch, brunch, coffee, something. And then also come to the larger events. It's not just, it's good to talk about it, on screen where we know we can reach a lot of people, but in person is still where it's at.
Yeah.
And we know that that can be a hard ask and a challenging ask for a lot of people. But it's very, very important that we continue to do that, because that is where you really find your voice,
Yeah.
when you connect in person, because there is just nothing like it. And that is why I am still a huge advocate for folks to come out in person, hear what other folks are saying, and also understand, the gravity of what it is that what we're fighting for and what we're building.
Yeah. Yeah, you and Kelly came over the first night and stayed pretty late into the night, having a chat with everybody that was there. There was a number of people there at the house, and it was um, it was just really awesome to get to hang out and just have a good time talking, and everybody give a little bit about what they think about that, or their background in these things and stuff, and it was just yeah, you may be able to reach a lot of people here, but it's definitely a more powerful thing to get to meet people in person, and you can uh, feel their passion for these things a little more. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I see that there are other folks who are encouraging people to go to different events. If I may, I think that people should attend BNC Con one year. Black Nonbelievers, we do a cruise convention every year. We held the very first Revival of Reason in Atlanta. We're going to be hosting it again next year. BN will be celebrating 15 years as an organization. So it'll be 2026 will be our 15th anniversary, and we will be celebrating that all year. And so that will just be one of the things that, so whereas it's the 10th anniversary for the trial, well, 10th anniversary means the first one they did was in 2016 and not 2015, like I said before. But I just needed to correct that. But for the folks who are, in Florida, there's a free flow convention that takes place every 2 years. There are things that take place in every state that we should all be aware of. I think that it would be great. Shout out to Dade, who was also at the Ark Encounter protest. And I got a chance to meet him, and so yeah, there are events that take place either very much near you. And if you need an excuse to travel or drive somewhere, that's a really, really cool opportunity to do so. So I think that it's just fantastic, to just get out there, and just you'll find that it's a much better experience than you thought. And yeah,
Yeah.
we have fun at that. We have fun at the gathering, hanging out and just having people share their experiences, and just getting to know each other, more, which I thought was just fantastic. It's
Yeah.
just always a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was the first event I had ever been to in with the atheist community as well. Not just trying to plan it, but
Right.
I hadn't been to
Wow,
these other.
talk about a trial by fire.
Well, I mean, it was
No.
like
Yeah.
200 degrees that day.
Yeah, it was pretty hot.
The the heat was kind of rough. Which I learned a lot from it though. So I see things that went right and things that didn't, and um, obviously that was part of the point. The I want to be able to do more things like that, and work with different groups and things to promote events like that. I think that it's one of the most valuable things that we can do together. So, um,
Yeah.
the
A lot of people, I can appreciate that people love to come to events. There are a lot of people who don't know what goes into planning and putting things together. There are a lot of details. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of resources that you have to have in order to pull these things off. And so, as someone who is always very hands on with organizing and putting things together, I always give a shout out to my fellow organizers and coordinators, because it's often the unseen details that people don't really consider. That makes it all go well. And so I always say, you can always tell who is really about this work and who isn't by who does show up and who does get involved and who does put their money where their mouths are, when it comes to actual in-person events. Because you could talk all day long, that's great, right? But when you're actually in the thick of it and doing it, that is where I know that people are, whether they're serious or not. And that is something I have learned in being involved in this community for almost 15 years. It's not an easy thing to do. You see a lot of people come and go, but those who stick with it, and those who remain dedicated, those are truly where, my heart always goes out to y'all. So, it's definitely. I mean, it's definitely and that's one of the reasons why I always want to support, especially those who are continuing to host events on the ground, because that's always where my heart lies, is with those who definitely put in the time and effort to put these things together, because it's a lot of work.
well, I one of the things that I thought was awesome is I got there was a number of the people that I talked to through my YouTube channel and social media, and some people with some smaller channels that may have been to some of these events, but really were excited to be able to just help in any way that they could to do it, and was really excited to we had a number of people that you wouldn't normally see speak at a lot of these events, because a lot of these other events they have to make money to pay for hotels and these big convention spaces and stuff, and lucky for us everything was paid for. So
Nice,
um,
nice.
it was it was nice to be able to let some people, the what may be the a newer generation of people that are going to have to do these things more often going forward. That lit that fire for them to want to speak more and go to more events and all that stuff. That was really awesome to see, and I hope they do those things. Yeah.
Absolutely. And people don't realize teamwork makes the dream work, right? There are going to be times where, especially on the day of, right, we'll have to pull together. and get things done. And I just think that it's important for us to continue to, to model that, to let people know, look, again, it doesn't just happen automatically. This is not divine intervention. This is not, we just snap our fingers and things. We have to put in that work. And I think that can be one of the most, perhaps one of the most unsaid parts about deconstructing from religion and belief, is that there's no one coming to save us. There's no one. I mean, sure, we have people. We help each other all the time. We ask for help and we appreciate it, but it is up to us to make things happen. And some that is a scary prospect for a lot of people, to realize that it is up to us to do these things. And but the more hands we have, the more, that we, and sometimes it can be scary, to realize that we have to rely on each other and support each other. But it's important that we do it. That is how events like the Ark Encounter protest come together. And I think that, especially if we are combating this dangerous magical thinking and this extreme misinformation, things like the Ark Encounter are exactly what is wrong with this administration as well. You have these Christian nationalists in public office that are on a federal level and on the state levels. You have these Christian nationalists at these events claiming that they're offering, you know, a good amusement and Christian education. It's not educational at all. It's very misleading. It's false information, and they also engage in discriminatory practices at these attract quote unquote attractions. So there's a lot more than meets the eye as to why there needs to be awareness brought to that, because we're seeing it now on a larger scale, what these people actually believe and how it is discriminatory. Not even just discriminatory, it is meant to oppress people. And it's important that we continue to hold their feet to the fire on that.
Yeah, yeah. The no, I agree 100%. I think that's exactly the truth of the situation. Um, the you know, if we don't continue to if we don't continue to speak out, they are going to. They will continue to peddle the propaganda and the lies and the science misinformation and the homeschooling stuff and just the awful ideas that do real harm to lots of individuals and uh, even even worse than that, I would say. But it's definitely we have to keep correcting those bad ideas and those lies and things that they would spread. You and I kind of have one of those folks in common. Uh, I I debated Kent again after the protest, actually.
How did that
Uh,
go?
well, see, the thing with Kent was is that I don't know why he was like going around looking for debates outside of the evolution
Yeah.
topic, but he ended up wanting to talk to me about the origin of the universe, which I mean, you can imagine. uh, and so yeah, but uh, I kind of borrowed a couple of your tactics there of the Kent just doesn't know how to handle kindness. He just he when you're nice to him and just try to explain it to him like he's a child, he just doesn't know what to do with it, and it throws him completely off.
Yeah, because I think he's used to being yelled at. He's used to that sense of drama, if you will. And For those who still haven't seen the debate yet, I know that there were some of his folks tried to troll after I was on Chris's show, the Daily Atheist Morning Show. Um, I thought it was important because a lot of people were like, "Why the hell are you debating this guy?" But I thought it was a good opportunity to at least try to, you know, explain to people like Kent and his congregation or his followers the harm that his beliefs do to people in real time,
Yeah.
whether it's his own parishioners, whether it's to the people in, I mean, he's in the state of Alabama, which has one of the worst records of education, one of the worst records in civil rights history. These are things that, from my perspective, makes his beliefs very, very harmful. And I definitely wanted to at least try to, because the debate was atheism versus creationism, right? Yeah, I know he tried to turn it into like, the original life and everything else. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Robin, she did try to talk me out of it. But again, one
She
thing
tried to
I
talk me
don't.
out of it too.
Yeah. And then the fact that I was going down there in person, because where he is only about 2.5 hours from me. So I'm like, you know what, if I'm going to do it, I might as well do it. I might as well go all the way. And shout out to
Yeah.
Cynthia out of Chicago. She was supposed to come, but at the last minute she couldn't make it. But I thought it would be because I don't really do apologetics or counter apologetics often. Because I feel like I lose brain cells, but I do think that it. First of all, it got our channel monetized because, and I have to give a shout out to his people, who worked on the tech side. I'm not sure if his guy Sergio is still there.
Last I
And
know of is Joseph is doing a lot of his tech stuff.
yeah, I know. I think Joseph was still there. Yeah.
I don't know about anybody else, but they're super nice and accommodating. They're like, they couldn't be a friendlier group of people. Kent himself is always incredibly friendly.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
Before,
He fancies himself a comedian too, which I,
yes, the
think is
dad jokes are
kind of funny.
nonstop until the stream goes live.
Right. Yes. Yes. So, I mean, it's just I thought it was very. I mean, I spoke to him personally. Even if it was only for a few minutes. Like when and during the. Because Sergio gave me his number to call him, and I was just like, okay, they arranged for me to stay there at the at the facility, and
let,
so
let me guess, it went something like this. Now, what's your name again? Mandisa. Well, Mandisa, we're going to get you converted today,
yep,
okay?
yep,
Uh,
that's exactly right. We're gonna
yeah,
convert her. We're
yeah.
gonna, yep, yep. We're gonna convert her, and yeah, that's exactly. And then of course the funny thing was, of course, when they got one of the pictures wrong, which I thought was hilarious. There was another Mandisa Thomas
Oh, yeah.
Out of Pennsylvania. I think she's an administrator at one of the universities there. Had blonde hair, short, but there was a distinct difference in between how we looked still. And I mean, he had the other pictures of me, right? And I'm like, wow, if you thought that was gonna rattle me, because I guess he's used to like getting under people's skin like that. And I'm just like, well, you've never had to live my existence, sir. Not even with other just believers, but with the fellow with fellow non-believers. So I'm just like, I've had a lot of time to work through people trying to rattle my cage, and now I just thought that was hilarious. I mean, of course, by the time the debate was over, I was ready to go. And like I said, these people were very, very, they were very nice, and except for the one guy who just really, I think it might have been Steven, the one is the big guy who apparently owes like a lot of money in child support. um yeah, so it was very interesting. But I just thought it was very, very but I did, like you said, combat them with kindness, Actually, and what was so great was that I think more people watched it on our channel than they did on his channel. Because it was live. It was live streamed on both of our channels, and I think more people watched it on our channel than his, which I thought was great, or at least quite a few people did. So that was fantastic. I mean, it was so. It was a labor of just like eating a candy corn, right?
Oh, it's
I'm
exhausting.
actually it was very exhausting, but I'm glad I did it, and at least for nothing else, it might have planted some nuggets of knowledge in the people that who were there, and I think that it is really, 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 really great to at least, and it's good because I think I'm probably like the first black woman he's ever like either debated for sure. So I'm like, why not?
Yeah,
Why not break that? Even if it's just somebody like Ken Hovind. I mean, goodness gracious.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
to some of the people who feel that we shouldn't interact with Kent, shouldn't talk to Kent, and all these things. Kent is that awful person you're talking about. He is. But do you think that I would say that it's important to keep letting people know that he's an awful person and a liar, and because Kent has a large following, and
Yeah, he
it's like,
really does.
yeah,
I'm like, wow.
yeah, and Kent is probably the uh, one of the biggest faces in young Earth creationism, and people quote him and buy his seminars and all those things. And he you've seen anybody who's seen some of the quote unquote documentary material that they've tried to put out trying to make Kent Hovind look good and stuff. They they will continue to do those things whether we say anything or not, and so I would rather there at least be people pushing back against that than not. um,
Right, right. And the one thing I will give to him is that he's honest about the fact that he's been to jail. He
yeah,
still does not believe in paying taxes. He says he really does think that the earth is 6,000 years old. I mean, he really believes this stuff. According, and he was honest about the whole snake thing, which I thought was very, very interesting, and I appreciated his people doing their best to accommodate that. But I am just like, wow. I mean, he is getting up there in age. I mean, he is very engaging with the people at the facility, which I think is which is probably what endears people to him, right? There are a lot of people. He uses his charisma. It's almost like he weaponizes it. um he weaponizes his charisma with people because he can be very charismatic, and he makes these jokes all the time, and it's just like, now I did kind of see him skirt around why his previous wife left,
yeah,
and why his two, because he was married twice before Sandra, who I met there. He was just like, they just left, and he said, if the Lord says once they leave, then you're open to, he didn't say why the last wife left, and he avoided the topic of the domestic violence and what he was charged with, which I thought was very interesting. He was just like, she just left, and I'm like, interesting. I was ear hustling a lot. I was ear hustling, and I was watching quite a what? Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Wow, she's gone now too, huh? That's interesting. Interesting.
I, I
Oh.
I think it's harder for some people to understand, because if you don't have a lot of experience with like young Earth creationism, and have seen some of the things that it does in communities and in areas that have a population of young Earth creationists, it's hard to fathom it, and it looks like, oh, this is just some silly fringe thing that's going on, and it's just it's not that's not the reality of the situation though,
Right.
and unfortunately, uh, people like Kent are gonna keep on going, and I know Kent may like get views and things out of it, but I, I would I would have to imagine that there's no way that those debates are bringing anybody to young Earth creationism, because if you're doubtful of that already, Kent, yeah, you kind of have to have that presupposition, or Kent looks like the idiot that he is.
Yeah, I think what is the sadder part of what is happening over there is that, yeah, because technically that facility is a homeless shelter, and I think that's what's happened. There are people who are living there because they have nowhere else to go. And so in exchange for free room and board, some of them work the land, and
Yeah,
they, I think he says they paid him a few bucks, but they're basically helping him, as a tax shelter, and it's very exploitive.
yeah,
And while I do think that there is some overall, because there are a lot of people who are in like the environmental justice community that, that are very big on like co-op and mutual aid, and folks who are, who are working, who are working on their, working to help, like grow their own food and stuff like that.
yeah.
But there's definitely that's I don't think that's what's going on there. I really, really don't.
Right. Yeah.
It's an exchange for, the indoctrination, and, having to like attend these services and just be a part of this really weird type of community, and it's just like, oh my gosh. And I think, it is the lure of that sense of belonging, and I just think there's just
How
something really
cults work.
sad about, yeah, that is how cults work.
Yeah.
So I just think that, I mean, it was just very, I'm glad I went, but I was also just like, oh my gosh, like I felt kind of sad when I left too.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that was one of the, and I know that he was trying to reach a certain number of debates, and I'm like, how do you think you're going to do that when you're reading from the same script all the time? He's also debated other creationists, other Christians who don't agree with his version of creationism, and I brought that up. I very much brought that up during our debate. I'm like, y'all can't even agree with each other.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you said, I'm just sitting, but I'll let y'all fight it out all day long, right? But it was just very interesting to see how, to see them react and engage with folks who are sort of on a different level. And you have to talk. Let's talk history. Let's talk real time. Real time consequences. To this. So, and I'm sure he wasn't ready for that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's well. Anytime it gets somewhere off that script, it's hard to tell what he's going to say. The I mean, he brought up the Loch Ness monster in our debate as science, so you know, it's you never know where he's going to go with it, and I do think that there's in one hand, I imagine it's helpful to some of those people who don't have a place to go, that they're staying there, and that is where they found to go, and it's awful that that's the situation, and that's the reality of it, is that that's where they end up having to go. But I definitely think there's an exploitive side to it too, where he's building his compound and things out with free labor, or labor for stay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But I mean, like I said, that was a one and done for me. I don't,
yeah,
apologists really get on my nerves. The way, like you said, he gish gallops, does the word salads. They, just trying to jump all over the place, trying to confuse you. And I'm just sitting up here looking like, oh my gosh. And my facial expressions always give me away. They betray me every time. So I know people will watch it like, oh my gosh. But again, for me, because I rarely turn down invitations, as you very well know. So if there is an opportunity for me to get in front of, I think that it's important that we don't just simply stay within our comfort zones, right? Because as much as I love the community building amongst ourselves, I really do think that it is important for us to venture out into, I wouldn't call it enemy territory, but sometimes that's what it feels like. But I do think it is good to sharpen up those skills from time to time. And it's good for those of us, because I know that Matt Dillahunty, he does debates a lot. I know Aaron Raw does debates. I think that all of us, especially that are doing this work and who are open and out with our atheism and our activism, it's important for us to know how to counter these folks when we see them. So I do think that it's very important for us to continue to do that as much as we can. And I see a lot of people bringing up, yes, the song I sang at the Ark Encounter protest. I did a snippet of one of the Godless Gospel songs that's a part of the Freedom from Religion Foundation with Dan Barker. Shout out to Cynthia. Shout out to Candace Gorham. Shout out to Andre Forbes. And everyone who's a part of the Godless Gospel Music Project. That's been another joy of being a part of this community, is that we are, in addition to the communities that we're building, we're also creating new materials. We're creating groundbreaking projects. We're working on them that is reshaping our community, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's been so fantastic to be a part of that. And yes, I for those who didn't know, yeah, I'm a singer. I do sing. And we also did a performance at NanoCon, which was at the end of July. So that was fantastic as well. And we want to bring that to more events. So we'd love to do that at the Ark Encounter. At perhaps I know whether it is feasible to do so, and I think we can. But I think it's just really really good to show the many different aspects of our community and what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Um, and just to hit back on the current promotional thing that we talked about a little bit earlier, since that kind of leads into that. One of the things that you have going on now that you guys have seen going through the chat is the candy corn challenge, and I'll let you explain that again.
Yes, thank you, Joe. So right now we have at BN, we do have a goal of $15,000 that we need to raise for October, for the month of October, hopefully sooner rather than later. So for everyone who is watching and you are able to chip in even just a few dollars to help us reach our goal, to help the very important work that BN does, once we reach that goal, I will eat a bag of candy corn, even if it's not just in one sitting. Those of you, if you aren't as acquainted with me, or even if you are, I have a huge disdain for candy corn. It has not been, I have not eaten candy corn since I was a kid because I have never enjoyed it as I don't consider it a treat. But for those of you who have followed me on social media, especially on Facebook, I go back and forth with a lot of people. For those between those who love it, there are those of us who love it, those who love it, and those of us who can't stand it. But the challenge is if we raise $15,000, yes, and Kelly from Detroit has joined in as well. We will eat a bag of candy corn if we reach our goal of $15,000 by the end of the month. Hopefully, we can hit it before then. But just to put that into perspective, just a lot of people, even contributing a few dollars, will help us reach our goal. So, if you would like to watch me eat a bag of candy corn that many of us that are watching don't really care for, but I will eat the candy corn for for my organization. So that is a challenge that we have. There is a GoFundMe link, and it's the best way to track this particular campaign. However, if you would like to go to Black Nonbelievers, our website, and donate, during that time period, we can record it on GoFundMe as as an alternative donation, so it will add towards the if you don't like donating through GoFundMe, then you can go to our website. The best way to do that is to you can Cash App us, you can Zelle us, and you can go through the regular PayPal link. You can go through the Giving Fund, but we'd love for you to go directly to the PayPal link, which is the first link on the web on our donate tab, and go from there. So yeah, we can record those donations as well to help reach our goal. But that is particularly the campaign link where people can see our progress. And so right now we're close to $300. So I appreciate everyone who has donated so far. But yes, that is to support BN's ongoing work. Just a reminder that we co-sponsor a student scholarship every year. We support other movement events. We have our own live stream show that we do. We engage a lot with different, with different local and national initiatives and projects. And so this really, really does help with our outreach, with our programming, as well as our support for education and community. So we would really, really appreciate y'all supporting and also sharing to your networks this challenge so that y'all can watch me and Kelly and eat the dreaded candy corn live. So I am willing to endure eating candy corn for your support for Black Nonbelievers.
Awesome. Awesome. So I've got links for all those things rolling through chat, and the QR code down there will take you directly to the GoFundMe site. So definitely go help out with that so we can watch Mandisa eat a bag of candy corn. I think that's fun, a fun way to do things, and
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it happen. Um, so do you think on the art protest thing, and at the end of the video, maybe I'll uh, before I cut everything off, I'll end and play the clip of the singing from the art protest. But the do you think that it? I mean, compared to prior years you've been to it, you think everything went smoothly? As obviously there's things that could have been better and things whatever, but you know went the
Listen,
way that it was expected to go anyway.
I'm still, even though I was still a guest in y'all house, and from where I sat, it went very well.
Mm,
I think that for me, I am such a stickler for things going like starting on time, and but I realize that there's a lot that goes into planning and making sure these things are executed well, and not to use
yeah,
the at least carried out well.
yeah,
So, but I think it was fantastic. I am always excited when I see people show up to events. And I also am a firm proponent of quality being more important than quantity, even though there were quite a few people at there were quite a few people at the Ark Encounter protest. I know some people were used to more folks being there, but there were more than a handful of folks who were there that walked over and created some great opportunities, some great photo opportunities to show the fact that they were there. And so I think it went very, very well. I really appreciate it again, and I think it might have been good. I think it was good for for folks to see that, that you were the primary, the primary organizer for it. And it was great to see GE there, Gala's Granny, all of the folks, Dade, Jay, Ember, everyone who was there. I think it was just very, very, it was very inspiring to have everyone who was there speak out. I know Elliot from Secularity and Secularizing was there as well. And so it was just so weird. I know for me, it always feels weird because people are like, it's Mandisa. I'm like, oh my gosh. That people don't realize how much that makes me blush. It really does. And so, it's just always interesting, and people are like, I saw you do the debate, and you were just fantastic, and I'm like, oh, thanks. It's just it's that always feels weird to me. But I think that it was very, very good. And it's always a good time for me to connect with people in person because it is uplifting for me. People, you don't realize how much what goes on in our lives, so much so that when we are together in this space, we are really, really continuing to help build each other up. And shout out to Seth, Ambush Apostate, who sent me the video to for me to upload to Being's YouTube channel for people to see at least my portion of it. I really, that is the type of camaraderie and teamwork that does go into stuff like this, and it's just really, really, it's really important that we continue to do so. And once people, I mean, for me, again, watching Kelly connect with so many people there
Yeah.
and going just beyond what she was there, what she said she was there for, that to me was a success. That meant it was successful because people may have come there for one thing, but they got so much more. And that is always one of the best parts of why we do this, even though it can be hella exhausting and hella draining in those moments. But when you look at it, you realize that you accomplished quite a bit. And so I thought it was very, very well. I thought it was very well organized and put together, and I'm glad that Jim and Chrissy had the resources to help you with that and made your job easier because they have done it for so long. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that with all of you working on it, that is going to be even better, for the 10th anniversary. And like I said, we'll be on deck at BN. We'll definitely be making sure that we help support it, and making sure that more folks come up for it. So to be a part of continuing this tradition now, because we are creating new traditions, and I don't
Yeah.
think that isn't a word we should shy away from. Um, so no, the short of it is I think it went very, very well, and I don't want you to compare it to previous years because remember this is your first one, right? This
Yeah.
was the first one you had ever, not only that you attended but that you helped organize, right? So
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
But I think that it went very even, and I think y'all handled the cops who came by and said that they were told that there was a disturbance or something. So I think y'all handled that well too. So yeah, it was fantastic, and I'm so glad that so many of us got together to to speak out on what was happening, but also just connect with each other. That's just all,
Yeah.
and kudos to you for that.
Well, thank you. The no, I think as far as anything that majorly went wrong or anything, I think the biggest and it was a mistake, I have to admit, was that I didn't realize that I was scheduling this on the weekend of the 4th of July when I did it. I
Oh
guess
yeah.
until I had already put that date out there, and I was like, well, it seems like it's still going to work out, so we'll do that. But yeah, that was a big time mistake on my part at the beginning was putting it on the same weekend as the 4th of July. I didn't even think about Friday being the 4th.
Yeah, and I can see that simply from a logistical standpoint,
Yeah,
because not all of us view, like I said during the speech, and I love for y'all to see it if you haven't. The 4th of July does not mean the same thing to all of us.
yeah,
And I think it's important that, that we consider what the 4th of July may or may not mean, and that why it was important to even have the, you know, even if it wasn't the intention to have it on the 4th of July weekend, but just to have it, in a way that, people still came out.
yeah.
And yeah,
We
sure,
had
that
about
might be
100
something.
people altogether at the end. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, but
which
no,
and it was people from all over the United States and parts of Canada as well.
yeah,
So in that aspect, I wasn't disappointed with the turnout necessarily because of it, but the just an oversight on my part. I was so focused because there's a little bit of lore to why it happens on that weekend,
yeah.
so the Ark Encounter, the grand opening was on 7/7 back in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and they did that because excuse me, Genesis 7/7 has to do with the inundation, I think, and the rains that begin, and the need for the ark and all that. So it was usually scheduled. It usually ended up happening on the second weekend, and I was like, the one thing I was looking at when I did it is I was like, well, I want to get as close to that 7/7 date as possible to
Yeah,
have this,
yeah.
and got a little tunnel vision there on that, I guess, but other than that, I mean, I was happy to see all the people that came, and there was a little bit of confusion on the starting time of it.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. But that,
yeah,
I think that with, sometimes that comes with it being, your
yeah,
first time of doing something like this. And, you definitely don't want to beat yourself up. And I'm speaking as someone who beats up myself all the time. So,
yeah,
but you definitely, you want to give yourself some leeway there.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's
Well, no,
again.
I think it was a success. The overall thing I think was net positive and went great, and couldn't have been happier to do it and to be involved in any way that I could, much less getting that much control over the thing. The I was overall happy with it. I'm not upset in any way. Just little things that I noticed that,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
okay, you can do better here and here and here, so definitely next year, come you guys come to the Ark Encounter protest. Mandisa and I will both be there.
Yep.
Uh, so yeah, and it was really a lot of the speeches. We had a lot of very powerful speeches.
Oh yeah.
Amber opened it up with a great speech. Um, the hearing from Godless Granny, her story as it relates to the Ark Encounter. We had proof right there with Godless Granny, who will be on next Friday to talk about this. Godless Granny was there and told her story of how it was the Ark Encounter protest that helped to change her mind. One of the biggest things that sticks out to her in changing her mind about those things was when she came and heard Aaron Ross speak and seen the Incest and Genocide Park sign and all that.
And
And
being offended by it, I think she
yeah,
said it upset her, but it also got her thinking.
yes,
And yeah, I thought that was extremely powerful
yeah.
for
And,
her
and I,
to.
I loved SR's closing. He got everybody worked up at the end. Secular Rarity getting everybody worked up, and all the speeches were just great. And we got to hear from a lot of people and got to hear the singing and all that. I was really happy with it. By the time I got there and we got it set up, at that point I was kind of like, well, let's sit here and see what happens, you know. And here it all is. It's all came to this, and we're gonna let it go now, and see how things go. And so up until that, because the whole weekend for me, I was pretty busy, and when I wasn't busy, I was whopped out completely.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so setting down at the art protest itself, and just seeing it all take place was really great, and I'm incredibly happy with it myself. But
Good.
that doesn't mean I don't want to do better.
Oh, of course, absolutely. There's always, I think after every event, that we do, there's input that you can take from the people who attended, and the fellow, even like the fellow organizers and folks who were a part of it,
Yeah.
but I think that it's always important to definitely take in the successes. I think any good entity does look at how we can do things better, and
Well,
you know,
Jim Helton has kind of been a mentor figure for me in this on the ground activism space. He's got the experience and a lot of good information, and is just an amazing person. But so afterwards, Jim and I have talked a number of times afterwards, but we sat down and talked about the things that he would have done differently, that he thinks might have helped, and told me some of the things that I did differently that he really liked, and wanted to continue to do with it. And
yeah,
so we're always working to do better, and to have
yeah,
a better event for everybody that comes to it,
absolutely.
while speaking out against the awful claims of AIG and some of their actions, and the state of Kentucky and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, interesting thing you mentioned, the police thing coming. It wasn't till later, but we realized that the people from DAL that drove by, uh,
Oh, so they did drive by.
yeah, they drove by and took a picture not too long before the cops came, because GE was on stage, or he was going on stage at the time. And you can see all this in the picture, but they on Ken Hoven's account, they posted that and said they're blocking the interstate entrances. And then the cops showed up saying they got a call about that right after that. So um, we had kind of thought maybe it was the people that were driving by yelling and all that stuff at us, but
Because there
looking at
were some
that,
people, for those who didn't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, there was a little bit of that, but it kind of looks like, especially with that thing being said, the same wrong thing that wasn't true being said. But the cops came, and they, to be honest, they didn't care much for DAL either, or for AIG rather, and the Ark Encounter. They don't care
Yeah.
much for it. And one of them was an ex-employee that had been fired
Mm.
for not wanting to be mean to a group of gay people that came in.
Ain't that
And
something?
yeah,
This is one of the reasons why I always encourage folks to like speak out and just talk to people, right? Because there are a lot more folks who we have more in common with when it comes to this type of stuff than we think.
yeah,
And it's important for people to see that. I think it's great that there are local folks who, really don't care for, what's going on up there.
yeah,
And even in just talking, I mean, talking to people in real time really does help a lot. How about that? I certainly did not, I wasn't aware. Thank you for making me aware that, that the cops that showed up didn't really care for them either. That was that but and we end up having more, we end up connected with more people who we can align with more than not when we do these things. Because I think there was a young man who was a Christian, But he also didn't like, I think it was trans, or they were trans. Um, and they definitely did not like what, what Ken Ham and his people stood for, which I thought was just fantastic. And it really does make a difference again when we continue to speak up against these things and make our presence known.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, the way that story went was is that the cop that showed up and I walked out and talked to him. He had came by earlier too before we actually started, just asking us to make sure we kept a place open for people to pull off there and all that. And but he had said that he had worked at the Ark Encounter, and that there was a day that there was some groups of gay people that came in, and the people that he worked with there at the counter were being rude and saying awful things behind the scenes. And he said, "Come on, guys, you don't have to act like that. It's fine. You disagree. You don't have to be mean to people." And he was called into HR, and he said that he didn't agree with it and all that, but that he wasn't willing to be hateful to those people, and he was fired on the spot. Uh, yeah,
Wow.
so um, he wasn't crazy about the organization and all that, and was also all for us out there observing First Amendment rights and all that.
Yeah.
How we really are.
Awesome.
But and then whenever the call came in, the cop that initially approached me whenever they got a call about us blocking the interstate and stuff, he was kind of, I could tell he was kind of on edge or whatever. I don't know if he thought there was if people were upset, or maybe he has no experience talking to people who openly call themselves atheists and non-believers and all that.
Yeah.
But he was kind of like, made me a little nervous at first. Just he was like, "Well, they called and said this," and I said, "Man, I'm telling you, it's all on video here. Like, you see how that is. There's nobody blocking anything. We haven't been doing that. It's just not true."
Yeah.
And but yes, I appreciate you coming when someone called. That way, we know that you'll respond if we call. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm glad that you're doing your job, and you're welcome to stay and whatever. We're getting ready to have pizza. I offered, come get some pizza.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's what was one of the best parts too. I know Jim and Chrissy and the Tri-State Free Thinkers, they always sponsor pizza at the Ark Encounter protest. So if nothing else, you come for free, and you get some free food and
yeah,
and drinks. So yeah, if that appeals to you, then that's always fantastic.
yeah. If you like eating pizza in the 106-degree Kentucky, I'm joking. I'm joking. There's only a couple hours of it where, well, a few hours where the heat was starting to get bad, but
Yeah, and we
you
had
know,
our tents too, so that
yeah,
helped. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's like that's the sort of thing that can only take place outside for a few hours because we do have to be mindful of people's health and their conditions and such. So it's the sort of thing that and it's always good. Like people don't know what it. I think it's important for people to get training on what it means to like do any type of protesting, which
yeah,
means how to stay safe in the heat or in the weather, how to stay properly hydrated, make sure that that there's food on hand, and that we are what the safety measures and precautions are if you are going to go out and protest. So that's very, very important for people to know just in general.
yeah. So the tents had initially, been we wanted to use those to have places for our groups to set up tables. We had a few different tables for different things there and stuff, and and for Chris and our sound guy that we're hosting and all that. We wanted to have those for that, and as we looked at how hot it was going to be that day and stuff, we're like, yeah, we're gonna. we're gonna put all these chairs under these tents here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, get some people out of the heat, so that they'll be able to stay longer and see more of this. Because I personally, by the end of it, I had to go set in the air conditioning in the car.
Yeah.
I got
I
too hot
bet.
myself. Um, but it was, it's one of those things. I told everybody leading up to it. I was like, if you haven't been to Kentucky in the summer, do not underestimate what I'm telling you. It's going to be hot. uh, we live in essentially a big jungle with a river running beside it, so it gets hot. Um, but we didn't have any major problems there. We had a couple people that got too hot and stuff, but we had lots of cold water on hand, and ways for people to try and stay a little bit cooler and stuff. Um, we did have one person that thought they were going to have a problem, and got them cold off, and they were okay. And then we did have another incident, which had to do with one of the hecklers that was cruising by,
Yeah.
and somebody fell and got busted up a little bit and stuff. But we were prepared for small things like that and stuff, and so nothing that really halted everything or anything like that. We were able to keep going and pull it off. I am concerned about in the future. Being out there in the heat, though. So we're gonna look at that a little bit. Not get going that far into the day. Um, but so I look forward to seeing you and Black Non-Believers there next year. We I think that. I think that I looked good in the yellow shirt, and
Yes, you were wearing your PN shirt. Yes, and shout out to everyone who bought a shirt and who donated and who just supported us being there in our work. So yes, thank you all so much. Yes, it was fantastic.
yeah. So we'll go ahead on the home stretch of this thing here, and at the end, those of you that are still here, the channel's set to automatically redirect you over to Dave's channel, Captive Desk, for Saturday Night at the Atheist, where they talk about some silly apologetics positions and different kinds of woo and stuff like that. It's a good time. So at the end, we will definitely send everybody over there so you can catch that. Um, you guys, you're doing the Halloween promotion for the candy corn, eating candy corn right now, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the big thing you got going on. And we'll close out with that information on screen again here in a minute. But you guys just did your CCon thing, right?
That's coming up in November.
It's in
It
November.
is coming up. It's coming up very very shortly. So yes, we are getting ready for that. Um, I think right now there's even still an opportunity for folks who still want to go. If you're still interested in going, let me know. We are still getting prepared for that. And for 2026, we're preparing for our 15th anniversary. We will be doing Godless Gospel for the Freedom from Religion Foundation's convention that is taking place not this weekend, next weekend, in Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. So Cynthia, myself, Candace Gorham, and so many others will be there next week, next weekend in Myrtle Beach. And we'll just continue. We're also supporting the Secular Day of the Dead, which is put on by the Free Thought Society. For those who are out in California, there's California Free Thought Day that's taking place this weekend. We are one of the sponsors for that. They always have at the state capitol every year. They have an event. Um, there is a huge coalition out there in the Sacramento and Northern California area. And Shout out to the Black Humanists and Non-Believers of Sacramento. That's one of the groups that's out there. There's a Sunday Assembly there. I'm telling you, there wherever there is pretty much a city or even like in a local area, there is someone you can connect with, and if you weren't familiar with those events, it'll be good to tap into what those groups are doing, so that if you are interested in attending in the future, you can do so. I always encourage people to do that as much as possible. So we have our own events, as well as the events that we support with other organizations. And but yes, for October, we have the my scary candy corn challenge, where we are raising money for BN, and when we hit our $15,000 goal, hopefully sooner rather than at the end of the month, I will eat a bag of candy corn. Even if it's not in one sitting, I will go live. You can catch me on a live stream where and Kelly King and I will eat candy corn. And if you know me well enough, you know that I don't like candy corn. I engage in banter with candy corn lovers back and forth every year, and people tease me and taunt me because they know that I can't stand it. But to help raise funds for Black non-believers, I will eat the dreaded candy corn live for everyone to view, for your viewing pleasure or even torment. So come have a laugh and have some fun at my expense of eating candy corn. And let's raise some money for Black non-believers for our continued community engagement and work. We are willing to go through, through the depths to really support for our organization. So again, folks who know me well know I don't like candy corn, but I have decided to take on this challenge to raise money for Black non-believers, where I will eat the dreaded candy corn live once we hit our goal. So please share. Please share with your networks. Let's raise some money for Black non-believers. The GoFundMe is the best way to track it, as well as is to get the money to us faster. But you can go to our website and donate directly, and we will count that. Any donations given during this time period will count towards the campaign, and we can record it on the GoFundMe link. So please do share. And again, like I said before, we have close to 4,000 subscribers for our channel. If everyone gave like $5, we would hit that goal. Like if they gave $5 today, we would exceed that goal of 15,000. So all it takes is a few dollars to support this fundraiser, and it costs nothing for you to share. So please do share it. Encourage your networks to support it, so that y'all can watch me eat the dreaded candy corn for this organization. So thank you once again for having me, Joe. It was great talking about the Ark Encounter protest, and looking forward to being a part of it again next year, and getting more of our folks out there from wherever, whether they're in Georgia or in the surrounding states. We definitely want to have a large contingent of folks from being at the Ark Encounter protests next year. So yeah, I'm just so excited about it all.
Well, thank you for coming and talking about this and having a conversation with me. I know that you're very busy and have had a lot going on, and I appreciate your time. And I too encourage everyone, go check out the links in the chat. I will also, if you follow me on social media or Facebook, there's already a link over there for some of this, and I will pin in the comments at the end of this links, so that if you're watching this later, you can find it easily and find all these links to go follow these things. I look forward to having you next year, and to come and represent Black non-believers again, and speak or sing or whatever, or just sit and talk to us again. That was so much fun.
Oh yeah, that was great.
But with that, we're gonna get out of here. If you want to catch another show with me, I will be on Wednesday. I'm working on what that show is going to be exactly, but there will be a show Wednesday, and then I'll have Godless Granny on Friday of next week to talk a little bit about her experience with it. And as we start to put together promotional content for next year, some of these clips and stuff you may see again.
For sure.
Thank you so much for everybody that came and watched, and my subscribers and channel members and all that. Thank you for your support, and I hope to see each and every one of you come to the next Arc Encounter protest. That's all I got for you. We're a few minutes early, but you will still be transferred over to Captive Desk channel for Saturday Night at the Atheist. You guys can chat there if you want. You don't have to. But if you talk to Dave, tell him I sent you over there. And thank you so much for everybody that stayed and watched. And have a great day.
Good
I'll
night, y'all.